For some reason, men are meant to be the performers during sex, while the woman is meant to just.
No, who said
Yes,
that?
think about it.
Who
How
said
many
that?
times do you ever hear like them saying, she's whacking bed?
What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Menisms. I'm Michael Scenario.
And I'm Morewa Ogunkoya.
And welcome. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate you. This is a podcast for the real men, Nigerian men, African men, American men, South African, any man that just wants to hear real shit coming from two Nigerian men. We're here for you. That's what it's all about. How you doing, bro?
Good as always. As always.
How you feeling?
Yeah. Well, for this particular topic for today, I'm gonna drink to that.
The funny thing is, I'm a bit more relaxed. I was shocked at first, but I'm more relaxed now because at least this topic is something like in the end we'll laugh about it, but it happens, man. And the thing is, I respect us because most men will never admit or talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's why we're here. We're here to talk for most men who can't. So yeah, that is Menisms.
I'm sorry, I tried to keep a straight face. All right, so yeah, you want to introduce the topic, bro?
Yeah, so the topic for today is sexual performance anxiety.
Giggy. How you feel? So,
Jeez.
Let's be honest. Let's start off the bat. Have you ever been nervous when it comes down to performance?
So I don't think there's any guy who hasn't. I think it's like a...
Have you?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to get there. I kind of have to break the ice. Let me set the platform, okay? Let me set the platform. So... I mean, I don't think there's any guy, but me personally, definitely. However, it's been a while, so some of those memories are hazy, but I do know I have some fresh, memories of some of my anxious situations. And to be honest, when a guy is like nervous about being with a woman, it's crazy. I kid you not, because there's so many things you're trying not to do.
No, I'm just laughing
at
your facial reactions because, I mean, in the end, it's true. Like, funny enough, it's going to sound funny, but
yeah.
That's why I said I like it, though, because it just means that I go for the right type of women. But I actually get nervous. Not like I'm nervous to do it, but there's a feeling of nervousness I get when, like, I'm with a girl I'm really like. Like, if I really like her, like, there's a bit of nerves at the beginning, like, oh, shit. Like, I'm like more like overthinking nerves, like, okay, like if it gets to that point, what am I gonna do? I gotta perform like this. I gotta do this, and all that. That it becomes, like you said, anxiety, and then it's like good fear though. But for me, I've realized it's good fear now. Whereas like, okay, it means I actually like her, because you know how for guys, most times we don't overthink this shit when it comes to sex and all that. Like, yo, we're ready. But for you to think it means like, yo, okay, this girl actually.
You know what? Let's take that back a little bit.
How so?
Why is there even sexual anxiety?
What do you mean?
So, like, what is it? I mean, it has to come from something. Like, there has to be some kind of root to it, right? So, because if you think about it, do women get sexually anxious?
They probably do.
No, I mean, I imagine exactly like you said. They probably do, meaning you're not even sure. But they
we're
definitely
we're not women because we're not women.
Yeah. So the reason I'm even bringing this up is like this is a good way to kind of like break the ice on topics, even for people who haven't even had sex yet, right? So those who don't even know what we're talking about, like, because they haven't really experienced it, so. Let's give a bit of a perspective on let's
start from so if you want to start from the origin, then there's obviously, I would say most times for people is the teenage years, because there are people who are virgins who are in their 20s.
Yeah.
And I realize that. So like starting from your origins, which is your teen years, there's that anxiety of the unknown in terms of you hear about sex all the time. You hear about it from when you're a kid growing up, because I know for me growing up, I used to see sex on TV all the time in music videos. Like, especially, like, all the rap music videos, because I grew up in Atlanta, so you're seeing all these, like, Cash Money videos, yin yang. So you're just seeing women shaking. There used to be this thing called BT Uncut in America where they'll show...
Definitely know BT Uncut well.
Oh, you've heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay, this show...
I shuffle America well.
Okay.
ATL, actually.
Okay.
Peachtree.
Were you...
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, so you know, so it's like, I remember, like, even when me and my friends would stay up late, we're watching BET Uncut, we're watching, like, all the music videos. Like, the most famous one, obviously, is Nelly's Tip Drill. But it's like, that anxiety is just like,
so you know that.
Oh my God, look at these women and all that.
And
what would I do?
Too, so.
Bro, and you're just looking at what's happening, you're like, oh my God, what is that? What would I do? So that anxiety builds up like, I'm just speaking as a man. Then, as you get older as a teenager now, you start getting to the anxiety of, you start hearing about sex. Oh, this person's had sex. This person's had sex. So for me, I lost my virginity late. Well, I won't say
It
late.
depends on what late is. Yeah.
Exact. I like it because for me, late is in my 20s.
Okay.
I lost it in my 20s.
Okay.
So it's like as a teenager, you hear so much about it, but you're the only one who doesn't. So there's that anxiety of, should I do it? Should I don't? Now, it's not to say I wasn't close. There are many times I was close, but for me, my personal choice was I knew my limit. Then it's not till I got older, which was obviously university, that, which I'll share the story later, but like my first time, like I remember like the first month or two of uni, the anxiety was heavy because now you're seeing a different tier of girls in university. Like secondary school, you're seeing your classmates. You're seeing girls in your school. When you get to uni, you're
There's
seeing
like a broader spectrum. There's a massive net of fishes.
Especially where'd you go to uni?
So I went to uni in Niger, actually. I went to uni in Niger, in Covenant.
Okay, so perspective, both sides, it's the same thing. I'm sure in Niger, because it's funny how like now that I've moved back to Niger as an adult, I'm seeing different kind of Lagos women. Like I'm seeing girls that came from Benin. I'm seeing girls that came from Igbo states. That came from Port Harcourt. All this. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sure. And then for me in England, like when I went to England, it was like, oh, I'm seeing Caribbean girls now. I'm seeing Black British girls, Ghanaian girls, Zimbabwean girls, and I'm like, this is variety. This is different. So now the anxiety is even more like, okay, I know I've done other stuff, but imagine now when it comes to it. And then obviously there's the anxiety of when you actually have it, which to me was the scariest day of my life, because I always say this joke to my friends saying, the first nut you ever busted, you will never get that feeling again.
Never.
Ever. Because it's a shock. Like, fam, I thought I had a heart attack. Like, look, true story. So this is how I lost it. So I came into uni first year and all that. And so my glow up started my first year of uni. So at that time now, like, I already knew how to talk to girls and all that because girls were always my friends and all that. So even like in secondary school, I knew all the girls in Lagos because my family runs an all-girls school. So I used to chill with them all the time. So I got to uni now, glow up has started. So I'm feeling myself. Your muscles are starting to come small. I was playing sports in uni, so I was feeling myself. I was like somebody. So all the girls came to me. So I remember like the first party, they used to do this thing called ACS. Mm-hmm. So the ACS vice president at the time was a girl. So she liked me. We're dancing. And when you start grinding with girls, like that's how it starts. That's how it starts and all that. So at the end of the night, she's like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going home. And she's like, no, why don't you come to mine after? Because she was in a year above me. So I'm like, oh, I can't. Why? And me, I was a serious athlete. So I was like, I have practice in the morning. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I got to be serious about sports. Like, what? You're moving like a virgin. I said, because I am. And her eyes just went like this, like. So so after that,
she's gonna be so intrigued by you.
So
probably gonna be the one to pop your cherry.
Which is one of the conversations we're gonna have. But it's like fast forward now, it's just spread around the school. Like, oh, the American guy is a virgin. So long story short, like some girls were having bets and all that I didn't know about. But like one girl in particular kept making her move to me, but she was my friend. So one day I had basketball practice. She's friends with my boy who stayed in the same house. I called him, yo, I left my shoes at your house because we used to go to his house to chill all the time. So I said, he's like, oh, I'm not home, but she's home. You can stop by and get the shoes. No pee. Call her. Go get the shoes. As soon as I get to the house now, she's like, oh, do you want to stop by for 5 minutes? I just want to talk to you. So I'm like, she's my friend. Why not? I get inside. This girl starts crying. So at that point now, I'm like, she's like, no, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, we haven't chilled in the mid. So I'm just like, yo. So I'm like, no, it's not that. I play sports. I've been serious. She's like, why don't you just chill for a little bit? So at that point now, we're chilling. So I text my teammates on the group chat, like, yo, I'm at this girl's house. Call me every 10 minutes because I feel like she's trying to, 10 minutes go by, they call me, yo, bro, where you at? We have practice. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then she's like, why don't you stay 10 more minutes? And girls do this. That's how women are powerful. When they touch your thigh, that you need to be like, okay. So she touched me the first time. So I'm like, all right, 10 more minutes. Boom. 10 minutes passed. They call me again. Yo, where are you? Yo, I have to go. She's like, no, 10 more minutes. Boom. Third time, she takes my phone, throws it across the room and says, you're not leaving. So from there, that's how I lost my virginity. Now, it was the quickest 2 minutes of my life. Because the anxiety that was there in my head, I'm going by what I've seen on porn movies, what I've seen in movies, what people have told me. I've never visually seen it.
But the sensation is something else entirely.
So the anxiety is killing me that I know I did not last. Because I still remember vividly, it was a song. No, I'll be honest. I remember it was a Trey Songz song that started from the beginning. Once you got to the chorus, bam. I'll be honest, that first time was bam. Oh, so man. Even like that anxiety that was so much there, like it was out. Anxiety, would you say anxiety is fear, by the way?
So anxiety is
a type of fear.
Yeah, anxiety is a rush because it's two things. It could be fear, it could be excitement.
So it was both. So there was that excitement and then there's that fear. And then obviously by the time it's done, it's like so that's it.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, what about your first time?
So my first time wasn't really even like I never want to remember my first time because for real, like it was even and because my first time was with my first girlfriend, well, first actual. So yeah, and bruh, like it was literally smack on. Like one of the times she was somewhere cheating on me with some guy. So in fact, the first time was kind of like incentive.
What do you mean?
Like it was like one of them. Oh, don't be mad at me, type situations, right? Like yeah. So it wasn't okay. So I was young, like I said. My first relationship. I think the time because I lost mine at 20. So it was kind of late.
Same age,
it was like
yeah.
19,
20, 21.
19, 20, yeah. So what happened then was she was out of school then with her friends. The guy she was supposedly like, messing around with had booked them a hotel room. I mean, you know how them uni moves will be now. So booked them a hotel room and everything. I was out of school on the weekend as well, but I was at my father's house, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I should be able to see my girlfriend. I mean, she's my girlfriend, right? But apparently she was always too busy. They were going out to this beach, going out to that party. And me now, dead guy, I can't really do anything about it. And because it was like my first like actual proper relationship, she would then call me. She's like, oh, hey, what's up? I want to see you. I mean, I'm mad. This is me. I'm fuming. I'm like, hey, you haven't even had my time all day. And then she calls me, but of course she has my move button and stuff. So it's true now. So she calls me over.
I respect your honesty for saying that.
Yeah, so she calls me over and then I go to the hotel room. So her friends have to like excuse her. I guess they were even going out. So it's like, well, let's leave you with your girlfriend. Even though these girls are vultures and witches and they know that my girlfriend is messing around with another guy, but it's like, you know what? You can attend to your small boy now.
You have my respect for something because Nigerian women are way smarter than they put themselves out to be.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you understand what? Yes. You know how I said? Notice I said that
they're never going to let you
that
know.
They put themselves out to be.
They're never going to let you in on their secret.
And they all know.
They know.
It's another topic.
So, they were like, you know what? Okay, fine. Attend to your small boyfriend now. Yeah. Emphasis on small boyfriend because that's technically what I was. I was that, age mates guy that was just entertaining.
Do they not realize that they create the traumas of men?
Oh, they do. Oh, see,
look at
that's a topic. That's a topic for another day. We're gonna get to that. But anyway, which is why I said I don't really like to remember my first time.
Fair enough.
So, anyways, I get to the hotel room and then this is me trying to get mad at her, like trying to be like, not necessarily like shout or anything, but like just be like, oh, what's going on? Like, why am I even here? Like, why are you calling? Since you're enjoying your weekend, you don't need me here. So, you know how it is to get in your feelings and shit now, right?
I've been there.
So, and then she's all like, the whole thigh move. Right. So, touch my thighs. Oh, why are you angry now? This kind of. And the next thing, so you know how, like, virgin relationships are. Like, by virgin relationships, I mean, like, you plus your girl are, like, you're both virgins, right? So, it's kind of like you guys make out, but, like, cap it there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's where we were, right? So you just like make out, or just copy there. But then this day she was not trying to go the extra mile, and I was like right now, because it's something you guys would talk about like often, right?
Yeah.
But like I imagined that the day it would actually happen would be a day where we both decide it's like okay, I think let's try and do this now. It was like an on the whim thing. Like I'm like, okay, are we like right now, right here? Like
so wait, she was a virgin too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, to my knowledge, please, let's clarify that. Yes.
God have mercy.
To my knowledge, it's very important that we clarify
God have
that.
mercy.
To my knowledge.
No, and you know what? You're entitled to say that because we would not know. We would not know. No matter how much hard guy you did, she can say it in your face, and guess what? You have to believe
yes,
it.
of course. So, anyway, so the first time happened, and then, so it was one of those. We were making out, and then we were making out into it just happened, right? Even though, like, funny enough, it wasn't a short. So my first time was not a short. It was at least maybe like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, right?
True.
Yeah. It wasn't a short. Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah. And for some reason,
not foreplay.
Nope. That tends to actually set a record somewhat because I'm not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not.
I take your word. I can only take your word for it.
Yeah, wherever she is, I'm sure she can also vouch. So yeah, it wasn't a short time. But it was definitely one of those. It was done, and I did not feel like. So there was no. So there was a rush in the time because one, I'm mad at her, but at the same time, she's kind of trying to make it up for me with sex, which technically that's what it was, right?
Fair.
Normally, would have
So you could identify it that early.
yeah. So like then it was just like I said, I was like proper like committed in that relationship, right? So so like I could tell that it was an incentive, like. Okay, she's just trying to make out so I can just not have to talk about this anymore. And then I didn't know she was going to go the extra mile. Then she went the extra mile, and then in the time it was happening, it was exciting, right? It was like you said, the first notch you bust, you can never take it back.
Never get that.
And that's why I hate that. That's my memory from my first bus. Because my first bus is the hotel room that the other guy booked for her, that she just used to make up for whatever possible vex that she was vexing.
So let me ask you a question with you saying this now, because it's something I noticed personally for some guys that grow up. So for my niggas that grow up here, basically. And it's you know what? Let me not even just say that, because it happens to men everywhere. I guess the reason I say for my guys that grow up here is because, like, obviously no matter where I go in the world or wherever any of us go, we're Nigerian. So if you like, I've grown up in America, I'm Nigerian. There's a way I'll act. But obviously being in Nigeria, there's something that's even more because you're home. But do you guys feel like your early experiences, or let's say men, let me just put it out there as men. Do you feel like your early experiences affect the way you see or have sex with people?
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, I feel like it only translates to the first few sex experiences you have.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's why, you know why I said I didn't want to bring up the Nigeria things, because I've noticed for some of my guys here, it affects them even still as an adult now. For some.
Yeah, but I think
it can happen to all men.
I think it's on the perspective of how you see sex again. So some people see sex as, now it's two ways. And I keep telling my guys this, right? Some people see sex as, I'm trying to enjoy this moment. Mm-hmm. While some other people see sex as, I'm trying for the person to enjoy this moment.
What do you see it as?
I see it as for the person to enjoy this moment.
Okay, same here.
Which now makes me understand why my first time wasn't so quick, because at the same, and that now kind of brings me back to, is that like a response to some kind of societal pressure? Because
how?
For some reason, men are meant to be the performers during sex, while the woman is meant to just
No, who said that?
Think about it.
Who
How
said
many
that?
times do you ever hear like them saying, she's whacking bed?
Who?
Just generally, people in any conversation. How many times do you hear?
Because it's not
she's
something.
shit in bed.
It's not because for me, it's something that women talk about sex more openly than men outside. In terms of when it comes to performance, now for example, they can be like, "Yo, that dude did this, that did that." While men, on the other hand, is more of when you're with your close guys that you might go into detail, but really and truly, you just say, I had sex, because
Still
you
my
don't really
point.
talk about it.
Exactly. So still my point. So the fact that we don't even get to talk about it, right? If it was something that was so rampant, guys would always talk about, nah, that girl is shit in bed.
Because they won't. The thing is, I don't trust men though.
See,
So
there's
I'm saying that I don't trust men.
So there's a pressure. So because like one, it's not being spoken about, like people are not coming out with the actual facts. And women, because people are not coming out with the actual facts, men don't always also give reviews. Women feel like, of course he enjoyed it with me, right? They never actually walk away thinking they were shit in
Well,
bed.
it depends. Do you tell them? So are you
Oh,
honest?
I mean, me or
So, like,
you don't want to use me because I definitely, I'm like,
So like for me, like I don't.
I mean, now, yes, but like back then, I wouldn't say anything.
So like early on, if I was to fast forward now, in my early 20s, where I'll probably say I was having the most sex, obviously.
Yeah.
If
Your
I'm being
early 20s
honest.
were the most sex? Like, you're having more sex then than now? Okay, cool. You know, you just okay.
I'll know why I'm saying that, but yeah.
Fair enough.
But it's not to say I'm not having it at this age. It's more of
not just
there's more
not just,
control.
It's calculative now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I said. At this age, you got shit to lose. You think is it worth it? At that age, are you fine? I like you. Boom. So even then, like I did not care.
Okay.
At the same time, I cared about my performance. It's weird. So my mentality was different. I cared about my performance in terms of it was more of an ego thing. Mm-hmm. Where my early 20s, like egos, like not say I didn't like the girl and all that, but like when
let her go around with her friends saying that
exactly. So mine was just ego,
Yeah.
like yo, you ain't about to go say shit, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because in the end, if I perform well, I know you ain't gonna talk shit to your friends, and even when we see each other outside, we won't smile.
Yep.
Boom. Then obviously, as I got older now, that's why I said it's weird. Women teach you a lot of stuff. So it's like I said, by the time I started again to a serious relationship, I started dealing with women in a more serious manner. And so I started learning more about, okay, what do they like? What's this and all that? That is more about, okay, I'm gonna perform for me, but also for you. But at the same time, it's like the energy I reciprocate to you, I hope you reciprocate it back to me. That's it. So that's why I said now it's like I don't have, obviously it's less because I want to. It sounds like a relationship. Like there has to be a connection there that we're both trying to please each other, not one way or the other. Basically.
So in that's why I started by saying, it depends on how you see sex. So if you then see sex as, look, it's something we're both supposed to enjoy. It's not meant to be a one-sided thing.
It's both.
However, I still think that the anxiety is stemmed from pressure, which is stemmed from people expecting. It's a general thing. Like people just expect
the expectations we place on men.
So
that
if you're having a conversation, like conversation regarding sex, no one actually ever asks, "So how was she in bed?" Right? Like no. By that I mean her performance, not the feeling of her. When guys ask you, "So how was she?" They're not asking how she performed. They're asking how she felt, like how she felt to you. Like, oh, when you were inside, like, how did they feel? So then, but meanwhile,
do you not feel so? I like how you just said that. So let me make sure, to follow up your question, do you not feel like it's deemed as quote unquote rude? Because see how even when you ask it now, right? Like, how was she in bed? Some people and even some women may take that as offensive outside. Like it's a sensitive ass generation.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, are we really allowed to say it outside? We're entitled to.
Which is why we don't have the conversation, which is understandable, right? So, but now that we're here trying to have the conversation that is never being had, right? We're gonna air all the stuff out. Okay. So, if guys are trying to talk about sex, they hardly talk about the performance of the woman. Even when girls are talking about sex, girls never even talk about their performances between themselves. Like they never. Girls hardly would ever say, "Oh, bro, I was shit in bed."
Are you sure?
I don't have enough female friends to know that they never actually talk about it.
Right, because the female friends I know they talk.
So now it's when they grow older, when they're in like their late 20s. That's when they start opening up to everybody, to themselves. Even men sometimes are like, see, I'm lazy in bed. All I know how to do is just lay back and do. But like in the earlier times where they know that they can play on the ego of a man, they usually put the pressure on him. Because it's like, are you sure you can handle me? Like, how many times do you actually hear?
But you know what's funny? You know how you just said that now? Let me ask you a question. Do you not feel like the older you get as a man, the less you care?
Of course. Because that's why sugar daddies don't give a shit.
That's why I said, because even when you say that now, I'm like, how I just said, like in your early 20s when you have that ego, I gotta do it. Like at this age, when you realize I have bills outside, I have money to make, is it you that's gonna tell me this 5 minutes? Okay, I'm making how much outside? Like, I just thought about, it's true. Think about, I'm seeing the perspective of some of them. Like,
So I know it completely makes sense to me because, and like I said, at that point, their perspective on what they see sex as changes. At that point, it stops being about how the second party sees them. It's now about the enjoyment they get from it, like the actual satisfaction they get from it, right? And in that time, there's hardly any pressure, especially when you have like other things to check. When you're younger, right, you're still trying to chase cheese. You're just trying to make cash, right? At the same time, you're still trying to like make some kind of social standing for yourself. You're trying to like either be the popular guy or be the relevant guy at work. So there's so much that you're trying to achieve in that time. Sex is also one thing you don't want to fall short of. However, when you're older, money is already on lock. Which is why, like I said, please, how many women say, that sugar daddy did not last up to 5 minutes? How many women?
But that's it. They don't talk. They won't. So that's what I said. You're right in where you are. I
even
guess
the times they do,
the conversation is.
Even the times they do talk about it, right? Women also don't even care about that standard anymore.
Oh yeah, of course.
So in that time, they're no more putting any pressure on you.
Which women are we talking about, though?
Well, I mean, so we're talking about the women who also know that they're only there for the little satisfaction. If they can get the satisfaction in 5 minutes, then they're good, right? So it's never he finished in 5 minutes. I wasn't even, because in that time, all the other things you're supposed to have been falling short of, you kind of sorted out your finances, career, everything. So to them, it's like. They would even make excuses for you, be like, someone like him, he doesn't even have time for all that.
He's been working.
He's always traveling around. He doesn't.
He's a busy man.
These are the same people who set the standards, and by the standards, they set the pressure. By the pressure, we then project that on ourselves, and we're like, make my guy no go here, see.
So then it comes back to. Does it now come back now to a personal thing about what do you know? Like, I said earlier, there was a time we talked about in the last episode where we talked about cheating and commitment, where it's like a personal thing.
Yeah.
So do you feel like these pressures now is more of a personal choice if you let them affect you? Because again, like you said, those points all valid because we've all been there. I've been there. But it's like there's a choice you make as a man, like you said. Do I really give a damn about this shit anymore? In terms of, do I care what she thinks and all that? For me, I still care because I'm still a very young man.
I think,
but at the same time, I don't care.
Care. Yeah. So I think it's very personal, and I'll tell you why. Because even the boosters, so to say, all those kolak haba,
Who?
kolak kalagbo.
I don't know that.
Yeah. So a lot of all those agbo drinks that you just
I don't even.
Yeah, that you just take. I've never tried any of those because I'm thinking if I'm already like, let's not even get into that detail. But yeah, so yeah, there's just no need for me to try those things, right? But I've never, so I don't know what they are like firsthand. So it's difficult for me to share my experience on that, right? However, the fact that those things are even moving in the market is already evidence that people's egos are still being played on. Which then brings me back to me saying that it's definitely a personal thing, right? So it's definitely I'm trying to boost my ego thing. I'm trying to make that person see me as some sexual predator. I'm trying to make that person see me as... So it still comes down to you trying to...
Or it can be a case that the person is
ego.
also saying like, for being like, I know I don't perform well. Like some people, you have to... Some people are not honest
exactly.
with themselves. So,
which is exactly. And that's why, in the last episode I was talking about the basic thing is self-honesty. Like if you start with that, if you literally start everything with that, your life is sorted.
Like there was a time, like I'll be honest with pressure, like there was a time I thought I was killing the shit when I was younger. Like I was, I'm doing this, do this. Until one girl that I was actually seeing well, and that's how I said women are the most honest teachers. She told me, she said, yeah, you good, but you're not that great. Jeez. She literally just told me straight up. And then from there, it's like, okay, I asked her.
That's
okay,
what they say in my
what
chest.
do I do? And her inside or outside, it's not like I'll be saying, but inside I was like, fuck, okay. And I had to ask, and the thing I was lucky, because the thing about me is, like I said, that's why I try and get to know women to a point that we can have a conversation, that I'm not too, So it's like, okay, I asked her, okay, what do I do? And then by the time she showed me some stuff, taught me, it's like, okay, that means I had to start having conversations with women now in terms of what do they like, what's this, so I can work on myself. So even now that, because what's funny is once she told me that, it's like my anxiety was not even there. It was like, okay, I'm at my level. Once she told me that, it's like, bam, I'm back to square one. And I'm like, wait, but I know my standards are already here, but now I'm here. But then, like you said, by the time I started having conversations about what do I do here? What do women like here? What's this? Okay. Now the self-confidence is more of, okay, you have to now...
Did you ever think about how you got there?
What do you mean?
Let me tell you how I think you got there.
What do you mean got where?
Got to the point where, like, you thought you were good till you met someone who told you weren't. So because you already mentioned that, like, you were in a place where, like, it was all about your performance. Like, you needed to judge, like, your reputation as that person needed to be on check, right? Where nobody can go else and talk shit like that you weren't good in bed, right? However, that was kind of stemmed on you not really caring about the fact that women have different bodies.
No.
Because really, if a woman has to, no, hold on. So I'm telling you this now from my own personal experience.
That's why I say but I know for me it's not.
Okay, so because I know for most guys who are like that, if they end up having to meet someone who has to call them back and be like, what, change this drawing board. You need to go back to scratch. It's mostly from selfishness. You know how we also talk about the last episode that men kind of can be selfish. So in that selfishness and like, okay, I want to show you I'm a sexual predator. I want to show you I'm a master in bed. And because it worked for the last 3 girls, right? They're like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I'm just going to bam. I'm just going to, they like it nice and hard. Yeah, no, right? And there will now be the one person you would encounter. You'd be like, hey, stop that.
And you know
and
what?
They say stop that.
For what you're saying is there's truth in it, which is that's part of it. But I'll say for me, it was more not having conversation to a certain point. So what I mean by that is this: any person, even in my younger 20s, any girl I was with then, I actually liked them. So it's like there was still good sex, obviously, and then they're the ones that I can compare. That's why I said I can compare then to now, be like no difference. But my own was, I didn't start having conversation in terms of we talk, but like I said, that in-depth... that
in-depth, mature conversation.
21-year-old you is not 28, 29-year-old you. That's now, can sit down with the woman
Actually
now,
talk
if I was
about a
to-
lot of things you won't
like
talk about. Yeah.
we can talk about sex. That you know how even when we were younger, talking about sex was more excitable and even gigglier. And it's like, oh, what do you like? Oh, I like this. Okay. Even you two as a guy be giggling. Yeah, maybe I've only done this now. But
man.
at this age, we talk about sex. What do you like? Yo, I like this. This is what I like. I like when a girl does this, and I'll say it with confidence now that it's like, this is what I like.
And that is based on I've had some reviews. I'm like, you know what, this is my thing.
Because even like you said, I always knew women's bodies were different. The funny thing is, it's a girl that told me that thing earlier. Now, as a guy, before I had sex, I did not know that. Because again,
I think that's a general thing for most guys.
And I was about to say, that anxiety,
Yeah.
I was going to even come up to a point about that anxiety. When the sexual anxiety builds up, do you feel like it builds up because a lot of guys at times, we have misinformation? So what I mean by misinformation is we have information, but is it always accurate in terms of we're getting it straight from males? We're always getting one perspective growing up. In terms of when you're growing up, even as a teenager, you hear about sex from either your older brother, your older cousins, television, what you see around, and depending on the sex you are, that's what you're going to hear more of. So as guys, we hear more of the male perspective.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you in your head, you have this idea of sex and everything until the harsh truth comes out from the actual person you're having.
Yeah, and I think
which is the woman.
you're definitely right. I agree with that because growing up, so the only reason you're even exposed to those people for conversations on sex is because first of all, you see them as like mentors. You know, you see them as he's been there. I definitely want to talk to him about that. Like, you know, I definitely want to hear what he has to say. He looks like a master on this. You know, yeah, and that's
that's how we saw. You just said that
Yeah.
he looks like a master,
and that's how we saw older cousins. So right now, that older cousin could be the trashiest guy in bed. You get? But then it was like I'm seeing him with different babes. I'm seeing him with different, you know. So I kind of want him to give me tips. Someday you would actually even like, you know, summon up the courage and be like, yo, bro, I have this girl talk
like,
to
what
me.
do I do? And
like,
he's
let
going
me
to
know
give
what
you
I
his
need to
game
do.
that's, like you said, is worked for him for other girls, but we still don't know the
Yep.
truth.
Oh, and let me
on
tell
what's
you,
going on with those
he'll
other
not give you the
girls.
game. The game will work on like 2 girls, and you're like, oh shit, I got this.
And then the day you meet the girl, it doesn't work.
Your ego plus all your sexual performance, all your accumulation, everything down to shit. So, but I think again, even with the guys, even when talking to your older mentors like that, they still create the pressure. They still create the anxiety because half the time you're talking to them, they're telling you the stuff that you should actually not be hearing, which is like, oh, the man has to take control. The man has to be the one.
Oh, you have to do this. You have to do that.
So you see, in the end, you never really hear that the woman has any job to do. And so during sex, you're thinking, I'm the one in control.
It's like, oh, it's all me.
Then you actually meet the woman
because
that
let's be real, in terms of
control, and
in terms of the women that actually speak now, I'm not saying women have always spoken, but obviously, I would say from my perspective, for what it seems like, maybe it's because I'm also that age that it's more of the millennial women that have been talking more about it, like from their side, in terms of in the last 10 years. With the way social media has boomed out and all that,
I think it's just about expression.
The women
There's
have actually been
to,
actually saying their side of the story that you now hear even more stories that you're like, wait, what? Like, so that's really because 10 years ago, you didn't really. In fact, the women that did speak about it was like a taboo. It's like,
that's
why is she speaking out like that? When really and truly, she's speaking the truth about what most women feel.
Yeah.
A lot of women actually don't enjoy even this anxiety. Like I said, they actually don't enjoy sex as much as we think.
Yeah.
Like if you look out, because obviously when you.
But then to you, you've done your job. Like, I conquered her. If you saw her, I
see those social media polls, and I'm just seeing like women say they've never had an orgasm, they've never had this, and it's like.
And sometimes it could even be someone and you're like,
No, I think
because I have so many guys. I'll be like, bro, can you imagine? I know this babe. I see her saying that she's never had an orgasm. Babe, why they clear that year? I'm like, bro, calm down. Truth is, she probably never really enjoyed it.
It happens. There's some conversation. Like now, I even ask, if a girl I'm really close to in that way, or we're in that way, I'll just ask you straight up, like, yo, you ever had an orgasm? Like, honest truth. And I'll just wait for the answer. If they say no, fair enough. So that's another pressure that can come up because if you ask that question,
now you've put yourself on a pedestal where
you either
it's unconscious.
No, you see how you just said it now. You see,
it's unconscious.
You can put yourself If
But
you
if you have the
choose,
if you choose, yeah.
If you choose, and we've all been there. That was saying, like,
Of course.
I know there's
Of course.
early time that I'll say to be like, oh, I have to be the first one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. And
Or-
then if you
or-
now don't deliver, it's like even more.
Or if you hear things like maybe someone you just started dating and one of her problems was like, oh, my next guy just couldn't satisfy me in bed, and you're like, and you're just like, bruh. And then literally every stroke during sex is like, I hope she likes that.
But you
I
know
hope she
one
likes
thing,
that.
that's
I
why I
hope she
say
likes that.
people don't realize it's not when we're all talking about sex and the physical, but people, that's why I said it depends on you, but it's also very, 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 very mental.
Yes.
Very, very, very mental in
I
terms
think
of the physical.
I mean, because it's a performance act, right? A lot of it is psychological. So a lot of it is you're actually thinking through the act than actually acting it. Because the truth is, every guy knows every single stroke that comes in. He's already planning whatever next position he wants to do. But as he's doing it, he's first thinking, is this what is going to be?
Yeah,
good?
wait, so you said you're thinking.
You're thinking like what next position you're going to want to do.
I don't know anymore. I'm in the. That's what I said. I'm more of just in the moment. However long it is, it's long, fine, whatever. But let's do, because like you said, when I think about it beforehand, you in your head, you've already
created pressure. Yes.
For the next minute or 2 minutes, I start here. From after that, the next 3 minutes are this. Then after that is this. If you fail on one of those steps, you're finished.
But I have an interesting question though. So if you happen to meet, so you know, guys always have this one babe that you've maybe been crushing on for like years, but you're like, nah, there's no way I can ever get to clock this babe. Then somehow you find yourself in the same social gathering. Somehow you find yourself in the same setting where you now actually get to talk to her. This is someone you've been seeing from afar, maybe on social media for like the last 5 years. You're like, man, bro, this babe.
Normal.
Then somehow maybe you're on a movie set and she's an actress as well on that set, and she just happens to be in the same. Then before you know, you guys have exchanged numbers. She finds you like a cool person, and then you guys are even talking. Now, as you're talking, because it's someone you've been crushing on, bro, you're already playing scenarios in your head. It's a normal thing, right? Then, but you're like, no, she doesn't see me that way. Nah, there's no way she can. Then one day she's just like, oh yeah, what are you up to? And you're like, someone asking me what I'm up to. That's weird. And it's like, okay, well, she's having drinks at her house. If I could come over, and you're thinking, okay, maybe a bunch of people, right? And then you go over, and then it's just her, and you're like, okay, I thought you had like a thing. She's like, yeah, I'm having drinks with myself. I was wondering if you could come over. Now, in that time, are you saying, even though you've experienced what you've experienced now, like let's say right now at your age, are you saying then you're not going to experience some kind of performance anxiety? This is someone you've been trying to like be with for the last 5 years.
I'll give you the perfect example.
Yeah.
Really don't want to say this story, but okay. So there's a time I met a supermodel. Okay. And it was not planned. Okay. So when we met, somehow families introduced us. Boom. I remember even the first time I saw her, it was like a movie. Like, you know, when that light just comes down on you, that you're like, wait, hold on, who's this girl? And we're staring at each other when we met because our families introduced us. Okay. Now, mind you, I didn't know she's a supermodel. Okay. It's just a beautiful girl I've seen. Yeah. So I was like, yo, who's this? Okay, boom. Got to know each other, took her out that day with her friends and family and all that. So obviously the next few days, like, we're just talking on the phone. Now, in my head, now, this is also, like I said, the older you get, like, you have to really know yourself. Now, in my head, I can't lie to you, there was a little anxiety. Okay. Because, obviously, by the time I got to know her that whole day, I find out who she is. Yeah. And it's actually now, like and it's not, person. And the thing is not, like, on a average, like, she's actually an international, like, model. So I'm just like, okay. Like, okay, and then she's telling me who her celebrity friends are, like, American, like, celebrity friends and all that. And I'm like, oh, shit, like, okay, like, fair enough. Boom. So we keep hanging out as friends until one day, like, she's like, she wants to actually hang out with me. Like, we don't need to go out. Like, we can chill indoors. I'm like, I bet. Like, I wouldn't mind that. So at that point now, when we now finally chill indoors, like, we smoke, we hang. And then later on, that's when she tells me, like, she actually likes me.
Wait,
like,
if you don't mind saying, how long ago was this?
A few years ago.
Okay.
A few years ago. So she's now like, yo, like, I actually like you and all that. Like, you know. So me too, I confess and all that. Like, saying I like her too and all that. Boy, the anxiety, I will not lie to you. And that's why I said, I don't even mind admitting it now. Like, pretty women get me nervous even up to today. Fair enough. Like, I'm a confident dude, but pretty women still get me nervous. So even at that point, the nerves that were going through my head, because it's like, wait, this is one of the scenarios I grew up as a child. Like, oh, if I ever date a supermodel, if the situation presents itself, and I've been around models, you get what I'm saying?
And that's why I asked.
But this one is like, this is one that I've been
there
seeing from afar. Like, if I ever catch one of them, and it finally came to me, and obviously It happened. Now, I can't lie to you. Sometimes that anxiety is good in terms of you are going to perform to the greatest of your abilities to a point that you'll say that person will never, ever forget me. So there's that good.
Which is why I said it's not necessarily fear, it's excitement.
Exactly. So it worked out, but it's also like, it was a lot.
It was a rush.
And that's why I said, even with girls I meet now, like, it sounds weird, but I never actually have asked. I don't ask for sex in terms of if I'm even dating
the person to make the advance.
Yes,
that's me. That's exactly.
And it sounds funny as a guy, especially like I said, I'm a confident dude. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
But it's was for two reasons really. One, consent. In terms of like,
definitely.
I'd rather have the girl say she wants to,
let it
but
be that
but I'm on it. Not that you're on it and I'm not on it, because I'm not entertaining that shit. But it's like, if we're both on it, it's like, okay, because she's made the move and she's done this,
exactly,
she's okay with it, and me, I said okay. So there's that reason. Then option B is like, I also don't want to. Like, I won't like the embarrassment because
then you
don't
ask
want that situation like
no, then crickets,
and
then crickets, you're like,
I'm trying to do a little something. Do what?
And I kid you not, it's awkward from that point on. You can't even have other conversations with a straight face.
There's only one girl. See, there's one girl that did it to me. The funny thing is, we ended up like seeing each other after a while, but it's like the first time. I remember like everything was going well. We had kissed before, obviously. So there's one night we're chilling, drinking, and all that. So obviously we're kissing and all that. So I'm thinking the kiss is lasting for a while. You know, like that kiss. That's okay.
One of them ones.
So I'm thinking like, okay. So I'm like switching it up a little bit, and then remember she just looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said. And you know, when you have to now turn it to a joke, I'd be like, what do you mean? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? You have to now turn it to a joke. Ha ha. But inside, I'm just like this. Fuck. What did I just do? And that's why I said I'd rather she do it.
Okay, so I'm not sure we have a lot of time left. But I think
we keep doing the same thing.
I think we can. Yeah, but I think we can just wrap it up by talking about what guys can do to increase their sexual performance anxiety or overcome their sexual performance anxiety.
It sounds so.
Yeah,
it sounds
so cliche, but no, the truth is this, right? And I think we could even go slightly deeper on how they could be themselves. So one thing is growing self-confidence, right? A lot of guys never really get to realize who they are until they become confident. Even financially, like you might not know, you end up being a bastard. But you cannot know your bastard side.
Nobody actually knows themselves until the money really enters.
So you don't know your bastard side until you're confident. And you know, most guys, confidence comes from having financial stability, right? So if your confidence stems from that, then look, go for it. Like achieve that, right? Before you then say, okay, this is where I am based on sex. So if you're having high sexual performance anxieties, focus on your career, focus on your financials. If it's that what you feel is that, okay, you know what, you're not physically attractive, then work on something. It could be that you go to the gym, work on your body. It could be that, you know, you find a new hack. Maybe you realize that dyed hair is what works for you. Maybe you want to grow some facial hair. It's true. Like some guys, I'll give an example. Like some people see me now with my full beard now. They're like, yo, and they saw me like 10 years ago. They're like, Now it's like, ooh, you know. So and that's one way to grow confidence, right? So I guess for every guy, he just needs to find what he could be confident in, grow it till he gets to his peak, and then he knows, okay, you know what? I'm definitely certain that at that point they could definitely overcome.
And to that point of when I say know yourself, you're right, it's cliche, but it's more of just like when you know yourself, like you said, there's a confidence you have to a point that people's opinions don't matter.
Don't matter. Yeah.
Now, no matter what in life, it will still affect you as a human sometimes.
Yes, but
there's a point you'll get to that is like, I am doing this for me.
Me, exactly.
I hope you enjoy it, but really I'm doing this for me.
Because
and that's what I said.
Anxiety is what everyone faces.
And the thing is, apart from that, there's also communication in terms of actually talking to the women. Now, obviously, let's be real. It's not every woman you're going to be with that you talk to in that level.
Yeah, of course.
But if you can, even if it's not in that level, you're already getting to that stage that you can still talk now.
I think that confidence still comes from the conversation still comes from having confidence, which is then like, you know what, let's talk about this. You know, what do you like in bed? Finish.
So,
yeah. Anyways,
all right. So another great episode.
Today.
Shout out to everybody that keeps tuning in. So we'll be back again with another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations. Well, that's not even the name of our topic. It's called Menisms, but we have uncomfortable conversations here.
Yeah. All right. So see you guys again on the next episode. And once again, I'm Murewa.
I'm Mayowa, Michael Scenario. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Scenario on deck. You have to plug yourself too.
So at Murewa, Olu Murewa on Instagram. I mean, our handles are showing, right? Our handles are shirt.
on the under.
Exactly. All right, man.
All right, till next time, guys.
Yeah.